Coming off a crazy, insane, and controversial and shocking Survivor Series, we are heading into tables, ladders, and chairs. But is this night more of a shocking twist for James Ellsworth? We're going to find out all that and much more, including several more matches made for tables, ladders, and chairs. And we talk all this and more in this week's edition of the Smackdown ReBound. Hello everybody, my name is Connor, OKayFabe, your official One Wrestling Video Smackdown video correspondent for OneWrestling.com. You guys kind of know this whole dealio by now. Thank you guys again for tuning in to the One Wrestling Video YouTube channel on this week's edition of Smackdown ReBound. We're going to cover everything and anything that pertains to this week's Smackdown Live from November 22nd, 2016. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the channel once again, too. Again, you guys know the whole deal. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button while you guys are down here. Make sure you share this entire video to the world. And while you're down there, also make sure to check out the description and give all the love and praise to everyone from the OneWrestling.com family on the social media. Follow me on Twitter at OKayFabeRWP. And of course, you can make sure to give that same love to everybody else on One Wrestling, including Big Ray, Billy Ray Valentine, everyone over at the Big Slam Nation, Sunday Segue, and of course the legendary, the iconic Mr. Bill Apter. And once again, before we guys get into SmackDown Live, I also want to take this time to once again remind you of the GoFundMe page that has been made for our fallen brother from Big Slam Nation. That is, of course, Mr. Bill Schuyler. The link for the GoFundMe for his family is down in the description box below. We encourage you guys to donate, or if you're not able to, just simply share it on social media and help spread the love and help give back that Bill has done so much for us to give right back to him and his family. So make sure you guys check it out. GoFundMe, the link is in the description box below. Okay, guys, this SmackDown was crazy. It was all over the place. It was insane. It was action-packed. It was filled. It was dramatic. It was lacking a chin. I don't know if I should be one to qualify. In any case, we kick things off with Shane McMahon, the commissioner for SmackDown, praising the SmackDown team for getting the best on the 5-on-5 men's traditional Survivor Series matchup. I mean, that match was insane. It was crazy. It was ludicrous. But he was a little bit tweaked and a little bit irked at a certain lunatic fringe, Dean Ambrose. As Dean comes out, Shane basically reprimands him and saying that he wasn't a big fan of the fact that he helped Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns take out AJ Styles, despite the fact that the two of them have clearly had some beef in the past. That being said, he was very eager, to say the least, pertaining to a certain particular Mr. James Ellsworth. Before Shane has a chance to give him his surprise, Dean spoils it by announcing that yes, James Ellsworth has been offered a SmackDown Live contract. This is exciting for James, but frustrating for Shane, and says, listen, Dean, you've been a little off your rocker. The lunatic part of you is a bit too much, so you need to leave the building. Not the most popular decision, obviously, but in any case, as Dean is leaving, AJ is returning. AJ basically says, what are you doing, offering James Ellsworth a contract? He doesn't deserve it. He hasn't done anything for it. How about this? I need a warm-up match before my match at TLC against Dean, defending my WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So why don't we decide to hang James Ellsworth's contract up above the ring and do a ladder match? That way, James can actually earn his contract the way I've earned mine. James initially is told by Shane, listen, you don't have to do this. You don't have to. You have nothing to prove. And James says, you know what? It's fine. I don't mind doing it. But on the condition that if I do win, I get a future WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, which is agreed upon, despite the fact that James has already beaten AJ Styles twice. Hey, that's a little awkward to say the least. But in any case, throughout the entire evening, we see comedy ensue as Dean Ambrose shows up multiple times, giving Shane McMahon a pizza, dressing up as the Mountie, because remember, the Mountie always gets his man. And just really fun calamity. But the last part I'm going to save till we get to the main event between these two in the ladder match. Now, we did open up with a Intercontinental Championship match between The Miz and Kalisto. Backstage, Daniel Bryan was basically informing Miz of how he was so disappointed in Miz's actions at Survivor Series, and despite the fact that the Intercontinental Championship is remaining on SmackDown Live, that he's not too big a fan of the way that, well, basically his wife helped him cheat to win. So instead, he says, you know what, I'm going to make things right and give an opportunity to someone who was also cheated out of a championship match for SmackDown at Survivor Series, Kalisto. These two had a fantastic in-ring matchup to kick things off on SmackDown, but unfortunately, once again, Baron Corbin rears his ugly head, distracting Kalisto just long enough for The Miz to hit the skull-crushing finale to pick up the win and retain the Intercontinental Championship. Baron Corbin attacking Kalisto once again, end of days after the matchup is over, but Miz, who is celebrating on the stage, gets super kicked by one Dolph Ziggler. Later backstage, Miz, of course, confronts Daniel Bryan about this, saying, Ziggler needs to be suspended, fired, something. He goes, no, I'm going to give him an Intercontinental Championship match because he's owed a rematch after what happened last week. So, one last time, the last time we will see Dolph Ziggler and The Miz battle for the Intercontinental Championship will be at TLC, and of course, a ladder match. Huge matchup made. But speaking of TLC championship matches, we also found out from a backstage confrontation between Alexa Bliss, Natalya, and Becky Lynch that Becky Lynch will indeed be defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss at the pay-per-view. Natalya blaming Becky Lynch for her for SmackDown's women's team losing at Survivor Series, and so instead we decided, hey, let's put Becky Lynch against Natalya. We're going to talk about that matchup a little later on in the evening. Speaking of championship opportunities, we had a 6-team gauntlet matchup where the winning team would get a SmackDown Tag Team title match against, of course, the champions Heath Slater and Rhino. This personally was my favorite match of the entire evening, getting to see the highlight of all the teams against each other. Breezango, Hype Bros, let me just see here my notes. We have Breezango, we had Ascension, Vaudevillains, Usos, Hype Bros, and American Alpha. Last two teams in the gauntlet came down to American Alpha and Usos, which I thought, of course, was very fitting after the two of them had so much heated rivalry leading up to this point, leading up to this moment. Great back and forth between the two teams. Fantastic highlighting of these four men. Just fantastic action. Psychology was fantastic. Near falls great. And the one thing I do love, by the way, is the fact that American Alpha is now using the top rope bulldog shades of the Steiner brothers and ultimately get the pinfall victory over the Usos. But before the bell could be rung, we saw the Wyatt family pop up on the Titantron saying, "The devil is in the details, my friends. You have not faced every team on SmackDown Live. You still have one team to face, and that's, of course, myself and Randy Orton. And next week, you will face us." Now, as of this recording, I cannot know. I'm not 100% sure. I am presuming that we're going to see these two teams face off against each other next week, and the winning team of that match will face Heath Slater and Rhino for the SmackDown Tag Team titles at TLC. It's not confirmed yet, but we're getting basically off of that assumption based off of the way we saw the end of the gauntlet match happening. I think that's amazing. I think that's awesome. I want to know your guys' thoughts, again, down in the comments section below. Going back to Becky Lynch against Natalya. Solid SmackDown women's matchup. Non-title matchup, of course, between these two women. Great technical action, but also very big fisticuffs kind of match. You felt like it was a tough and brawl type of environment between these two women. Alexa Bliss, of course, commentary at ringside. Becky Lynch making Natalya tap to the armbar immediately, right afterwards. Alexa Bliss attacking Becky Lynch, of course, to make that statement known that she will be taking that SmackDown Women's Championship from her at TLC. Speaking real quick of the women, we did see Nikki Bella confront Carmella backstage, basically accusing her of the fact that she was the one that took her out at Survivor Series and cost her opportunity to lead Team SmackDown to victory at Survivor Series. Carmella, of course, making quick denial, saying, "No way, I would at least attack you to your face. I've been doing it that way this whole time. Why would anything change?" Despite that, Nikki Bella informed Carmella that they will actually have a match at TLC, no disqualification, to hopefully wrap this whole thing up. Backstage, Baron Corbin was confronted by Daniel Bryan about his actions against Kalisto and saying, "Listen, you need to learn that your actions have consequences. I don't care if you're a lone wolf. First, you've cost us the Cruiserweight title. Now you're screwing up an Intercontinental Championship matchup. You need to be held accountable for your actions. So tonight, you face Kane." Now, this matchup I was really intrigued by because you have two men, very similar build, very similar style. I am not particularly usually a fan of heavyweights fighting, but man, this matchup seemed intriguing to me. This one seemed interesting. And in an ironic twist, it was Kalisto that ends up attacking Baron Corbin in this one, costing him the matchup. Match getting thrown out. Of course, that didn't stop Kane from chokeslamming Baron Corbin, and ultimately Kalisto chasing away the Baron Corbin with a steel chair, using a Van Terminator-like move to chase him out of the ring. Now, obviously, this feud between Kalisto and Baron Corbin is far from over, but I can pretty much I'm going to go out on a limb here and safely assume that we're probably going to see Kalisto versus Baron Corbin at TLC. I'm going to throw out there, we're going to see possibly a chairs match between these two. Now let's talk about the main event, the ladder matchup between James Ellsworth and AJ Styles. This matchup was pretty much exactly what a lot of us thought it would be, a fun matchup. A matchup that we saw of the underdog fighting back, where basically AJ Styles beating up on James Ellsworth at the very beginning, pinning him down with the ladder as he's about to climb up and grab the contract, ultimately to only have Dean Ambrose show up in full hockey outfit, I mean helmet and all, taking off the elbow pads and beating up AJ Styles. Just as AJ Styles is about to climb the ladder after chasing away Dean Ambrose, James Ellsworth actually knocking AJ off of the ladder outside to the ring, and as AJ's climbing back in, hitting no chin music, and then having AJ's foot caught up in the ropes, allowing James Ellsworth to, yes, climb the ladder and grab the contract, not only securing himself as a member of the Smackdown Live roster, but also once again guaranteeing a future WWE World Heavyweight Championship matchup. To quote JBL, SmackDown this week was a meltdown. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it was chaos and calamity ensued, and I was all for it. This was fantastic. I was really happy the fact that we saw a lot of matches being made for TLC. Of course, the fact that we have another pay-per-view in only 2 weeks' time is a little concerning, only because I was very curious to see what build they were going to do, but I think coming off of a very popular and very controversial, obviously, and shocking Survivor Series, a lot of the matches that we saw between Raw and SmackDown did bleed over into this week's SmackDown, so I think the TLC matches are going to be really, really interesting, and I think the TLC pay-per-view, all in all, is going to be very interesting to watch up. I think, obviously we have now the WWE World title, the Intercontinental title, the SmackDown Women's Championship, and we pretty much can assume that the SmackDown tag team titles will be defended most likely against either the Wyatts or American Alpha. And I don't know about you guys, but honestly, for me, that's a win-win. As much as I'd love to see American Alpha finally get an opportunity to tag team titles, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton as a tag team, I'm not going to lie, is pretty interesting. It's a pretty unique team. It's a pretty unique situation. I want to kind of see that a little bit more, just because it's different. I just want to see that a little bit more. Overall, this week's SmackDown I thought was very, very solid. I love the fact that, again, we saw the continuation of more storylines and more TLC build. I was a personal fan of the SmackDown Tag Team Gauntlet. Women's matchup was very, very solid. I was a little disappointed in, obviously, the Intercontinental Championship and the Baron Corbin-Kane match, because I thought those were two matches we could have gotten so much out of as far as in-ring action, but I understand, time constraints being that one. But I'll say this, that the Tag Team Gauntlet matchup was my favorite. But enough of my jibber-jabber. It's time for you guys to chime in. What did you guys think of this week's SmackDown? Oh, wait, before I forget, I want to throw this little theory out to you guys as well, too. What if James Ellsworth decides that he wants his WWE World Heavyweight Championship opportunity at TLC and throws himself into the matchup between Dean and AJ, making it a triple threat matchup? I'm going to leave that and just drop that little bit there. I'm just going to throw that out there and let you guys ponder and scheme that one. I want to hear what you guys think about this week's SmackDown. Again, leave us your thoughts down in the comment section below. Hit us up on the various social media, including myself at OKayFabe RWP, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. Make sure you give love to the entire OneWrestling.com family. Again, the links are all down in the description box below, including the GoFundMe for our late brother Bill Schuyler's family. Make sure you donate and share the page as best as you can. If you guys are, again, new here to One Wrestling, hit that subscribe and like button. Why wouldn't you? You get to see all the amazing action from the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, Big Slam Nation, pay-per-view reviews, and of course, Bill After Chat, all the great stuff you see right here on One Wrestling Video YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, share. You guys know the whole deal right now. I thank you guys again for watching and tuning in to the Smackdown ReBound right here on One Wrestling. And then to quote the legendary icon Mr. Bill After, we will see you at the matches.